And turn now to the future Queen Consort Camilla. She's given a rare interview about her life with Prince Charles and how she has learned to cope with criticism after decades in the spotlight.
Camilla's gearing up to take on her biggest role yet, and she says it's now, at age 75, that she knows herself better than ever.
King Charles made an extraordinary announcement at Clarence House that changed everything. He stated that Queen Consort Camilla would temporarily withdraw from her royal title as an investigation unfolds. The news quickly spread worldwide, stunning people everywhere. The crown of Queen Mary was right next to him when the lights came on. This showed how serious things were. What went down behind palace doors to create such a massive scandal? And how did the royal jewels become the center of it all? Join us as we uncover the scandal that silenced a queen and tested the limits of royal loyalty. The crown falls apart. Allegedly, King Charles addressed palace staff at Clarence House in a closed-door meeting, where he shared that Queen Consort Camilla would temporarily step back from her royal title due to an ongoing investigation. According to one eyewitness, the announcement left the room in shock. Queen Mary's crown was reportedly present, and since it has been long seen as a symbol of stability, it underscored the gravity of the moment. Staff were said to be stunned, struggling to process what they had just heard. Palace staff soon heard about the situation, and conversations spread quickly, making things uncomfortable for Queen Camilla. What began quietly soon became a source of embarrassment. As the bells of St. James rang, reporters gathered trying to confirm the rumors, but staff couldn't talk. They were all aware that something serious was happening. The scandal started when a sapphire brooch from Princess Diana's collection showed up at a high-end auction in Geneva. Investigators traced it back to Rahill House, Camilla's private home, turning private talk into a public problem. This was a serious problem because these jewels are supposed to stay in the crown's permanent collection forever. Princess Anne first noticed something was wrong when checking the royal inventory. Prince William immediately demanded answers about what happened. Catherine, the Princess of Wales and future queen, advised her father-in-law that protecting the monarchy had to come first, even though this involved the woman who had been by his side for decades and had finally gained acceptance as Queen Consort. Authorities uncovered a series of transactions tied to a middleman who is now under serious investigation. Early findings point to valuable royal items being taken from the official collection, though the full extent is still being looked into. The palace has kept quiet, aside from King Charles's major announcement. During the signing of the decree that removed Camilla's title, his hands visibly trembled, revealing how difficult the moment was. In his statement, he said the crown must stay clean even when emotions are complicated. That line echoed past events in royal history, from Edward stepping down for love to the impact of Diana's story, and now to this latest chapter involving another consort losing her place. But how did things get so bad that the royal family ended up in this situation, where someone as high-ranking as the Queen Consort could lose her title and respect so suddenly? What events led to this moment where trust was broken and the image of the monarchy was shaken so deeply? The royal jewels. The collapse of the royal household didn't start with a big public scandal. It began with conversations in palace hallways after a sapphire brooch showed up at an auction house. The brooch had clear engravings showing it belonged to Princess Diana's personal collection. This discovery started a series of revelations that would expose decades of hidden wrongdoing inside the monarchy. Diana had worn this piece during her early days as Princess of Wales, back when her marriage still had hope. A Swiss company listed it for sale, and sharp-eyed royal collectors immediately noticed something was wrong. They recognized the brooch and alerted authorities. The investigation's trail led straight back to Rahill House in Wiltshire, where Camilla kept her private residence away from public view. Palace officials first tried to explain it away as mistaken identity or a paperwork error. But the evidence was too strong to ignore when Princess Anne demanded a full audit. The audit revealed missing documents and unauthorized transfers that had Camilla's initials on them. These inconsistencies showed this wasn't just one mistake. Instead, it appeared to be part of an ongoing pattern of crown jewels being taken while the family focused on staying united in public. Prince William and Catherine found themselves stuck between duty to the crown and loyalty to the king during what should have been a normal family dinner at Clarence House. Instead, it turned into a confrontation. William reportedly stated that his mother's memory wasn't something to be traded away. It put the monarchy's credibility at risk when public support was already shaky. They recognized that protecting the institution meant facing uncomfortable truths, even when those truths involved family members who had already gone through decades of controversy. King Charles responded to the growing scandal by ordering the Royal Jewel Registry to be moved from the Tower of London to Clarence House, a move insiders recognized as a break from tradition that signaled a serious crisis. Though the palace offered little public comment, the king's visible distress while signing the decree to remove Camilla's title revealed the emotional toll. Every decision seemed to carry consequences that would shape how the public viewed the crown for years to come. The question that lingered was clear: is the monarchy strong enough to survive this moment, or will it leave scars that could change its future forever? History judges the crown. Princess Anne said the world deserved clarity, not more cover-ups like the ones that had plagued their family for generations, and according to the insider giving this report, Charles could not look at her. The princess had inherited their father's bluntness and their mother's strong sense of duty. The staff were genuinely shocked because they had never seen such raw terror in the king's eyes. Prince William met privately with senior advisors to create a plan called the Integrity Paper, which outlined how the royal family would respond if the scandal became public. Catherine helped write it. She added notes beside William's main points, and one staff member described her as a force during a tense time. Their teamwork gave a glimpse into how the next generation of the monarchy might deal with serious issues. They also began preparing to step into their roles earlier than planned, depending on how serious the investigation turned out to be. Later that night, a staff member saw Camilla alone in the white drawing room, quietly staring at Queen Mary's crown behind glass. She asked if it would be taken from her, but got no reply as the servant bowed and left. By morning, investigators in Geneva confirmed that the sapphire brooch had been sold with Camilla's personal approval. At that point, what she knew or meant no longer mattered. Public opinion, already critical of her for years, would treat the news as truth. Prince William's conversation with King Charles over breakfast turned into a painful exchange rather than a heated one, as he reminded the king that the crown belongs to the people and urged him to act on that principle, even at personal cost. Charles replied that the crown also belongs to history, which doesn't easily forgive broken trust. Within a day, Anne and William formally presented their findings, with Catherine present, wearing Diana's engagement ring as a symbol of legacy. Though the meeting ended without a final decision, it led to one clear step. Camilla was summoned to appear before the Privy Council. Outside the palace, rumors spread quickly, fueled by photos of boxes being moved into Clarence House and growing speculation about missing royal items. Would King Charles follow his heart and stand by the woman he had loved for decades, or would he uphold the centuries-old institution that shaped his identity and defined his duty? Love versus legacy unfolds. British tabloids lit up with headlines after reports claimed that Diana's missing jewelry had suddenly reappeared. Newspapers questioned whether the royal family was heading toward another crisis. Around the same time, Catherine attended a children's charity event, wearing a plain pearl necklace, a choice that drew attention for its similarity to Queen Elizabeth's understated style. Commentators saw it as a clear nod to tradition and praised her for it. Across cities from London to Sydney, Manila, and New York, the public started asking tough questions about the monarchy's future. The main concern was whether the institution could handle more revelations without falling apart, and whether King Charles would prioritize personal loyalty or the legacy of the crown. On October 11th, the palace released a short statement saying the Queen Consort was helping with a review of certain royal heirlooms, using soft language to describe what insiders saw as a serious crisis. Behind closed doors, tensions rose as key members of the royal family met in the Maple Room at Clarence House, a space once used by King Charles to rehearse his coronation speech. Now it was the setting for a difficult moment. Princess Anne sat beside the king, while William and Catherine were present as observers of the crown's integrity. The meeting was a change from ceremony to accountability, as the monarchy faced growing pressure over missing royal items and questions of trust. Camilla walked into the tense room with a private secretary wearing a plain gold chain instead of her usual pearls. Her face gave nothing away until she broke the silence, asking if they truly believed she had stolen something, and then if they thought she had stolen Diana herself. No one needed her to explain what she meant. Charles replied slowly, saying the issue was no longer personal, but about what the public believed about the crown. Anne then opened a folder with evidence from Geneva: photos, signatures, and item valuations. Camilla looked through the documents with shaking hands and claimed someone had used her name without permission. William responded firmly, telling her to name who was responsible, warning that staying silent would cause damage beyond her own reputation. The king said the crown couldn't afford any confusion, no matter who had signed the documents. His words were firm, not harsh, as the Queen Mary's crown sat behind him, catching the light. That moment broke Camilla's calm. She asked if they really believed she had ever wanted this life, after everything she had done to support Charles and the family, only to be blamed for something she said she didn't do. Anne replied directly but without hostility, saying no one was trying to destroy her, but the monarchy was in a serious crisis that needed clear decisions. As rain fell over London, the room stayed tense, with one question hanging in the air: whether the crown would be guided by loyalty or by legacy. As the conversation moved from defense to reflection, the question remained: was this about one mistake, or had something more important already been lost? The forever crown. Allegedly, things grew tense in the Maple Room when Princess Anne said Camilla had broken the family's trust. Catherine then spoke up for the first time. She said the missing jewels weren't just expensive, they held deep meaning connected to motherhood, duty, and loss. Losing them felt like losing part of the family's story. Her words changed the mood in the room, and even Camilla looked down, seeming to understand the seriousness of it all. By midnight, it was said that a decision had been made. The Privy Council would meet early the next morning to discuss suspending Camilla's title while the investigation continued. The wording may have been soft, but insiders believed it signaled the end of her role as Queen Consort. Allegedly, after the meeting ended, King Charles stayed behind in the room. A few staff members were still nearby when he quietly said, "The crown endures." It wasn't an official statement, just a comment that some staff later repeated to others. By the next day, that line had spread around the palace. People said it showed how much the situation had affected him, and how he was trying to accept the cost of keeping the monarchy stable. Allegedly, Camilla was taken back to Rahill House. Staff noticed she spent most of her time in the drawing room. A coronation photo of her with Charles was on the mantel, but she later turned it face down. People close to the household said the gesture spoke louder than words, and it quickly became a topic of gossip inside the palace. On October 12th, the castle bells rang early. William and Catherine arrived at Clarence House quietly. Catherine carried a folder labeled "Succession Protocol Revised," showing that the royal family was preparing for changes. The monarchy had faced wars, abdications, and scandals before, but this situation felt different. It wasn't caused by outside forces, it came from within. By the end of the day, the public would learn what it tried to keep private. As the monarchy acting to protect its image and traditions above all else? Or was there still room for compassion toward those most affected? In the end, the question that lingered was whether the crown had chosen preservation over compassion, and what that choice would mean for its future. Conscience over crown jewels. On the morning of October 13th, reporters gathered outside the palace waiting to cover the announcement. Inside, staff moved quickly through the halls. At 10 a.m., King Charles entered the Grand Hall wearing his formal uniform. His face showed how serious the moment was. Next to him, Queen Mary's crown was placed near the lectern. The room was filled with officials. Charles announced that Camilla would step down from her royal duties and give up her title. He said the decision was made to protect the crown's reputation. Reportedly, the atmosphere in the room was tense. Prince William stood behind King Charles, looking serious, while Catherine stayed composed and Princess Anne kept her eyes down. Staff present understood this was not about a death, but about removing a royal title. King Charles reportedly spoke in a low voice, saying that Camilla would step back from her royal duties and give up her title. He added that the decision was not out of anger, but to protect the crown. According to those present, he explained that the crown jewels were more than ornaments. They symbolized trust between the monarchy and the public, and that trust had to be safeguarded. Publicly, everything carried on as usual, with carefully worded statements about supporting the crown and adjusting duties. But behind the scenes, Camilla had been quietly asked to step back. As some reports suggest, there was no official announcement about Camilla, but her absence from public duties was noticed as the palace moved their attention to other royal visits. King Charles appeared at a charity event in Scotland, while William and Catherine carried out engagements in London that drew large crowds and positive coverage. Princess Anne was also seen visiting a veterans' hospital, which insiders said showed the family presenting unity. This made the public face of the monarchy look stable, even as insiders suggested the real story was unfolding out of sight. Inside the palace, staff gossiped, aware that history has a way of disguising repetition as progress. And so, one question lingered in every corner of London and beyond. Had justice finally been served, or had history simply repeated itself under the glow of the crown? Forgiveness through London. Rumors spread that on the evening of October 13th, as the bells of St. James's Palace rang 12 times, small groups gathered quietly outside Clarence House. Some people were said to be carrying flags and old photographs of Princess Diana, leaving flowers and talking about her legacy. Insiders suggested it felt less like a protest and more like a vigil, with those present wanting to honor her memory at a moment when the monarchy itself seemed unsettled. According to staff present, there was no sense of celebration inside the palace. The family had followed protocol, but the mood was heavy. King Charles was seen going into his private library, where he often worked on speeches in the past. Aides later noted he sat for a long time with a cup of tea left untouched, the signed document on his desk reflecting in the firelight. Those nearby said Princess Anne entered briefly and was heard telling him that history would see the moment differently than they did. Charles reportedly replied that history doesn't cry, people do. At Kensington Palace, William and Catherine found themselves at the center of a media storm. Overnight, public support shifted toward them, with social media calling Catherine the people's queen and praising William for standing up for his mother's memory. It was the kind of spotlight they never wanted. William admitted it didn't feel like a win, and Catherine reminded him it wasn't about winning, it was about getting through it. Meanwhile, the press kept the story alive. replaying King Charles's speech and focusing on every detail. Headlines around the world debated whether this was a moment of justice or a sign of deeper trouble for the monarchy. Camilla stayed out of sight at Hill House, with the gates shut and only a few staff members still with her. She turned down all interview requests and told one aide she didn't want pity, just closure. During a quiet walk in the garden, she stopped at a rose bush Charles had planted and let a fading flower fall to the ground. Meanwhile, in London, Catherine received a velvet box from the palace. Inside was Queen Mary's crown. With the crown now in their care, many began to wonder if the public was already looking to them as the true future of the monarchy. Was this the moment when the change toward the next generation truly began? The People's Prince. Prince William is one of the most popular members of the royal family. Many people see him as responsible and humble, and they believe he will make a good king. His public work on issues like mental health and the environment has added to his reputation. Catherine, Princess of Wales, is also well-liked. She is often praised for her focus on children and families, and for the way she supports William in his role. Together, they are viewed as a strong team. In recent years, public attention has moved more toward William and Catherine. Their appearances often draw large crowds, and the media regularly highlights them as the future of the monarchy. People see them as a sign of stability. While King Charles continues his reign, many people are waiting for the day William and Catherine take on the throne. Supporters believe they will bring continuity and trust to the monarchy, and they are prepared to wait patiently until that time comes. In March 2020, Prince William appeared in a video for the National Emergencies Trust, where he launched a fundraising appeal to support charities during the COVID-19 pandemic. And only a month later, he became the official patron of the organization, showing his commitment to helping communities during a difficult time. His involvement gave the appeal visibility and encouraged people to contribute to those in need. By December 2020, William and Catherine had taken on another important role as joint patrons of NHS charities together, which strengthened their connection to frontline workers. In early 2021, William visited a vaccination center in King's Lynn, where he encouraged people to take the vaccine and spoke against false information that could cause hesitation, using his position to support public health efforts. Later that year, in September 2021, reports said William helped arrange the evacuation of a Sandhurst-trained Afghan officer and his family from Kabul during the Taliban offensive, which highlighted his personal concern for those connected to the armed forces. In March 2022, as the war in Ukraine displaced millions, William and Catherine made a donation to assist refugees, and in February 2023, they supported the Disasters Emergency Committee in its work for victims of the Turkey-Syria earthquake. His focus on global issues continued as in July 2023, he became patron of the appeal to launch the Fleming Center, which aims to lead a worldwide movement against antimicrobial resistance. In July 2024, he and Catherine donated to help those affected by Hurricane Beryl, and in January 2025, William was named patron of the College of Paramedics, further strengthening his ties to emergency services and showing a consistent pattern of support for health, humanitarian relief, and resilience. While William's public work showed a strong commitment to global causes, his private life told a very different story. How could someone so dedicated to helping others still face constant battles with the press over his family's right to privacy? Royals versus relentless press. Diana's passing in 1997, while being chased by photographers, changed the way her sons viewed the press. From that point on, William and Catherine made it clear that their private lives should not be treated as public property. They often asked for space when not carrying out official duties, and this approach has shaped how they deal with the media to this day. In 2005, Prince William told ITV reporter Tom Bradby that he thought his voicemails were being accessed. An investigation later showed that the phones of his aides had been compromised. Even though William was not listed as a direct target at first, journalist Clive Goodman later admitted that he had hacked William's phone many times. Andy Coulson, who was editor of News of the World at the time, apologized and accepted responsibility. Years later, William took legal action against the publisher and reached a settlement in 2020. He and Prince Harry had started the case together, but Harry eventually chose to continue his claim on his own. The pressure did not ease as William and Catherine's relationship became more public. On Catherine's 25th birthday in 2007, William issued a statement condemning the level of intrusion, and later that year, he criticized the aggressive pursuit of photographers outside a London nightclub. The Press Complaints Commission warned editors against publishing such images, and while some newspapers complied, others did not. In 2009, William's lawyers secured an apology from the Daily Star after it falsely claimed he had damaged a military aircraft during training. The couple continued to defend their privacy in the years that followed. In 2012, topless photos of Catherine taken in France were published by foreign magazines, leading to legal action and heavy fines for the publishers. They later issued warnings against photographers who harassed their children, and Kensington Palace released a letter describing the risks posed by such behavior. William also supported Harry and Meghan in their complaints about press intrusion, and he criticized social media companies for spreading harmful misinformation. In 2021, a video surfaced of William confronting a photographer who filmed his family during a bike ride, which the palace called a breach of privacy. Most recently, in 2025, Harry named William and Catherine, in his case against Associated Newspapers, alleging that private investigators had been paid to gather information about them, showing that the battle over privacy remains ongoing. The story of Camilla's withdrawal, the growing spotlight on William and Catherine, and the constant struggle with media pressure shows how fragile the balance inside the monarchy can be. Every move is watched, every silence is questioned, and every decision carries weight far beyond palace walls. Whether this moment becomes a turning point or just another chapter in royal history remains to be seen. But one thing is certain: the crown continues to face challenges that test both tradition and trust. What do you think really happened behind palace doors? Do you think the royal family can ever recover from this scandal? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the next video showing on your screen. You will enjoy it.